present to you the 2016 Carnegie Fellows at the University of Ibadan. This is the second set the University of Ibadan will be hosting. Last year we hosted about 5 fellows under the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program. And this year we have 3 fellows on ground, 3 others will be arriving at a later date. And let me quickly introduce the 3 fellows we have with us. We have sitting directly next to you is Dr. Akinbode Adedeji, an associate professor from the Department of Food Technology, University of Kentucky. He arrived at the University of Ibadan on May 8th and will be leaving tomorrow, June 2nd.
Just 3 weeks. 4 weeks, actually. 20
Next to him is Dr. Michael Olabisi from the Department of Agricultural Economics, Pepperdine University, California, USA. He arrived at the university on the 30th of May and will be leaving on June 15th. And Professor Bewaje, K.A. Bewaje, a professor from the Department of Language, Linguistics and Philosophy, University of West Indies, Jamaica. He arrived May 30th and will be leaving August 3rd. So these 3 fellows with me also. We have Dr. Olajide from the Department of Agricultural Economics, who is hosting Dr. Olabisi. Then Professor Oyeshile from the Department of Philosophy, hosting Professor, along with the head of department, Dr. Ofo.
Professor Ofo.
Hosting, yes, very soon. Hosting Professor Bewaji, and then Dr. Ezekiel from the Department of Food Technology, along with the head of department, Professor Falade, hosting Dr. Adedeji, and then the dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Professor and Forestry, Professor Iyayi. I want to specially welcome the Registrar of the University of Ibadan, Professor Olujimi Adekoya. Olukoya. And then we also have staff of the Office of International Programs. So Professor Dr. Adedeji arrived. He's been with us for the last almost 4 weeks. And he has interacted with colleagues and students in the Department of Food Technology. We started our meeting earlier on, and it's really exciting what he has been able to achieve within the 3 weeks that he has spent with us. And he has made a number of suggestions, and he has also, which we'll try to follow up in terms of how to source for grants, the grant body to apply to, and then the department, they are currently working on a research proposal. So he's been very busy for what he has said. Dr. Olabisi is holding a workshop at the UI Conference Center, and he'll be here for 2 weeks. They are running a training on R programming, and I think the trainees consist of staff and students of the University of Ibadan. It's been Dr. Olajide was just telling me that they had even more than they planned for, so I can say that it's been it's a success already. And then Professor Bewaji will be interacting with our Department of Philosophy. So he is just arriving, and he was, just before we left the office, he was briefing us as to the activities he has planned for to undertake during his visit. Importantly, what we have discovered is that key in the program of all of them is the issue of mentoring, which I think is important for our university. And it's a great privilege to have these distinguished scholars in our midst. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I present to you the 2016 Carnegie African Diaspora Fellows. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, maybe it would also be nice for each of the three fellows to say one thing or the other about your experience. I imagine maybe this is the first time for some of you to hear, or first time in a long while. I think you just give us your impression. That both the positive and the negative, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so, I mean, they're just for us to be able to improve. Then I can just pass a few comments.
Thank you very much, sir. Like I was introduced, my name is Akimbode Adedeji. I'm an assistant professor in Biosystem and Ag Engineering Department at the University of Kentucky in the U.S. I am not a stranger to you, but I was born here in Ibadan.
Oh, okay.
My family house is at Bikuba Akpata.
Okay.
My mom is still alive. I took her to the hospital this morning. My brother is here in Ibadan. My sister-in-law is a temporary staff in the special education department. I'm also going to speak to you about that later. But I'm also an alumnus of food tech here at the University of Ibadan. About 17 years ago I came here. I haven't obtained a Bachelor of Technology degree from Ladikepala University of Technology.
Okay.
And also I was a lecturer there. I was there for 13 years before I moved on to work at the University of Kentucky in the US. My stay has been very fruitful. I am happy that I could come home. This is home.
I see your mom at least.
I see my mom and also be able to, I see this as a give back to the system that laid my foundation, that built me, that helped me develop potential, and just to come and help the system. And it's also very humbling for me to see our senior colleagues, people that taught me, received some of the things that I shared with them. Now, Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship is a fellowship that supports African scholars in Canada and US, and now I think extended to the Caribbeans, to come back to Africa to a department, a university of their choice, to come and help them to work in three core areas: research collaboration, curriculum co-development, and graduate student mentoring and training. And these were the three areas that I proposed to work on when I was applying for this fellowship. And this is exactly what I have done. I worked with colleagues on grant. I made three presentations. One, initially I shared my experience as an academic, which was a very big presentation that I had students, graduate student department and colleagues come. I talked about resources within my lab, opportunities that are available for colleagues to develop capacity, resources that are available to our students to help them in their research work, and also presented on changes that the department can make to improve our system, the food technology program, which is an excellent program as it is right now, but we can make it better. We can continue to build on the efforts that has been in place. And for example, I talked about initiating an extrusion short course. Extrusion seems to be an area that is growing. The aquaculture industry is growing, and they need quality feed. With the donation of an extruder by Nigerian Flamings to the department, then we have an opportunity to help the industry grow in Nigeria, by providing quality training. The only extrusion short course I know of in Africa right now, is organized in South Africa once a year. And I shared with them that in the Department of Food Technology, but we can take the lead in Nigeria and initiate one. I'm working with them, on developing, a 3D extrusion short course that will avail industry folks and people in the academia to come and get trained in extrusion processing. There are several other suggestions that I made to the department, which were well received. Some of them can be implemented in the short term, some of them perhaps in the long term. I interacted with the graduate students. We talked about the research. I provided guidance. I told them of opportunity in my lab. If they have the resources, I will willingly and gladly host them. in my laboratory. Also, we're talking about an exchange program for colleagues, to come over to my lab. I was privileged to meet a USDA official yesterday at ITA, and he kind of pointed me to some opportunities that we can explore that will allow colleagues in the department to come over to the USMI lab, sponsored, and take advantage of the resources that I have. With regards to my experience of staying in university, I want to thank the Office of the Vice Chancellor, who oversees every activity within the university, and also Professor Adeko, the Director in charge of international programs, for the support that I received. The accommodation, I want to say, is very good. I enjoyed my stay. Staying very close to the VC, afforded the opportunity to have electricity 24/7. With air conditioning in the room all the time. So the initial stage when I was trying to acclimatize to the weather that was very hot, that really helped a great deal. We spoke about some improvement that could be made. Professor Reku said that things are better now. The accommodation itself generally is good. We had water problem at some point. We currently have bug issues, and also, during our discussion this morning, we were talking about the fact that perhaps the management of the lodge for international guests, perhaps that can be transferred to the Office of International Programs, so that they can have direct oversight, so that when things go wrong, they can quickly fix stuff and address issues. But in general, I will say that my experience has been great. I'm grateful that I could do this at this time. And be able to give back to the system. At the other side, the system grows because the alumnus, they come back, or the alumni rather, they come back to help the system in every way possible. Build capacity, provide material support. This is what I came for, and I'm glad I could do this. I want to thank Kennedy Foundation for providing the sponsorship, the University of Ibadan for accepting to host me. And I want to believe also the rest of my colleagues will be echoing the same thing. And also, sir, thank you for creating time to meet with us. We appreciate that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. The name is Michael Olabisi, Assistant Professor of Economics at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. I was saying earlier, the students and staff I work with, they tell me thank you every time for the work I'm doing. And I tell them thank you for being here and for working with me, because we're all in this together. This is home. When you go to the US 15, 20 years, this is still home. So it's good that we can come back home and work with the people at home to make things better. I commend the Carnegie Foundation for giving us this opportunity, in part because if it was somebody else, if it was a different kind of face, the way we relate would be different. We come as partners. We're not foreign to you. We are partners with you, working with you to develop capacity. Again, my opening speech to my students in my course was, when people outside see the name Oladeji, Olabisi, Chiboeze, they don't see success or potential. They see issues. They think Boko Haram, they think all these negative things. But I see something different. I see capacity. I see potential. Just I'm sure you do so. This is why you do the work you do. So it is good that we're all together, working together to make sure that the world gets a different picture of what we are. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, thanks for giving us audience. It's not an everyday affair that the very topmost person at the premier university in Nigeria would host other colleagues just like that. Because when I got the email, actually I was in transit. I think I was in Amsterdam when the email came that we'll be meeting with the Vice Chancellor. I said, wow, this this is interesting. They already arranged things. They didn't even know if I was going to be here with all those things that are happening globally. But I want to thank you especially for making the time to host us. My relationship with University of Ibadan is a very longish one. My undergraduate and master's was done at University of Ife, now known as Obafemi Awolowo University. And I did my PhD at the University of Ibadan with Professor Peter Bodun of blessed memory. I've been very fortunate to have studied with some of the very best that Africa has produced. Anyone who knew Peter Bodun or Olubisho or Kwesi Wiredu would know that those were the top scholars. The other gentlemen, well, two of them, from Odera Obuka, from Kenya, and Pauline Utonji from Benin. That was how philosophy was structured in Africa then. And those were very humble individuals. Very, very humble, very giving. Actually, when Professor Bodun left for sabbatical in 1984, I believe, that was shortly after I had completed the normal paper that you write, for your PhD proposal and all that. He gave me the key to his office. It's for you to appreciate why I cannot be any different. For your professor, a very senior colleague, to give you, to have that confidence and trust, to give you the key to his office for 1 year. That was significant for me. And I have benefited like that. Consequently, Tunde Bewaji will do whatever he can to assist colleagues, to assist institutions in whichever way it is possible. Well, we all know the story of how he came back, he came to Dean, and then Deputy Vice Chancellor, and then Vice Chancellor. Yes, so, that's a totally different story. But the program that I am on is Codestria Carnegie program. The Carnegie one was for Canada and the US. But because it did not cover everything, that was why Codestria then partnered with Carnegie to give other diaspora scholars the opportunity to go back to Africa to assist. And my colleagues, Professor Ekola, who is not here currently, represented by my own very good friend and colleague, Professor Yeshire, and my boss, Professor Ofo, they did everything, and Professor Deku went beyond what I would consider the normal Nigerian call of duty to facilitate the process. She fast-tracked everything. And that was very significant, showing that there is a general appreciation of both sides, how we can synergize and help each other. So I want to thank you. I arrived yesterday, so I haven't done too much interaction. But a number of things have been mentioned which are technical, which Professor Deku had promised to look after, which I believe are very simple. If they are done with the same kind of openness and the same kind of warmth, that we have received. When I travel, well, I've been fortunate to have been able to go all over the world except Asia. And the Chinese are trying, to get me there. even though I'm scared of a number of things. But I notice that there are certain things that we do, which my colleagues have mentioned. When you drive on our campuses, there are certain things that are absent. You need to find in other institutions in the US, in Europe. Buildings donated by multinationals for research, for teaching, and so on. And bequests or endowments or grants by the alumni, those are minimal. The spirit of philanthropy in giving, I don't know why, I do believe that during my stay here, it probably will be possible for us as colleagues to be able to have like a seminar, especially for the top echelon of the administration, to see if we can revisit some of the things that we do, probably which alienate our graduates, which does not facilitate them to give. Maybe there will be need for that kind of dialogue. That's just an aspect of what I hope to be able to achieve. The other component is with regard to my own discipline. Anybody knowing philosophy at the University of Ibadan would know that it has a very rich history. Of all the universities that started around the same time, University of Ibadan started the PhD philosophy program first, and it has produced many distinguished academics, of which my humble self is a beneficiary. I was saying that Legon didn't even have an MA, and when I challenged my own MA external examiner, Professor Buredu, many people took umbrage because people don't like the truth. They don't like you to challenge authority or those at the top. But I couldn't do otherwise, because if you don't build and pass on what you have, who is going to inherit and carry on the project? And all of us know what has happened within philosophy. Most of our senior colleagues have retired. Some of them have passed on to greater glory. And when my colleagues felt that I should come to help to look at the program to assist with graduate level work and partnerships, in various ways, I was quite very happy. Ibadan is where I have my little home. So it's like coming home to eat good amala. Yes, and pounded yam. So I'm quite very glad, and I want to thank you especially for finding the time, especially in this very challenging time, when I'm told that some minor aluta is going on. To be able to meet with us. Thank you very much for your team. We have heard a lot about your straightforwardness, your accountability, the way you approach things. We can only ask the divine for divine guidance and support. It's not an easy thing, especially when you have people who have that kind of commitment. May God continue to bless you. Thank you.
The President, Dean of Agric and Forestry, former HOD of Philosophy, the current HOD, Director of IP, all the colleagues here. So on behalf of the management of the University of Ibadan, we'd like to welcome the 3 Carnegie Fellows. When the Director of YP was making introductory remarks, she said, I think last year there were, is it 4 or 5? 5, and he said that this year 3. I was wondering how maybe next year there will be 1 year. Later she now said a few, or maybe another 3 will still be coming. So I said, okay, it's not as if it's dwindling. And I thank you to all your comments and observations, and it's really a delight that all of you have had some form of association with the University of Ibadan at one stage. Like your group said, you said that you came here for your MSc, so it's nice you are back to your old department of food technology. And you can see that for a long time, that department didn't have a building. I think they were using that prefab. In fact, Professor Awo told me that maybe since the inception of the department, I think it's only now that some building is springing up. And you also alluded to the fact that there was a donation from flour mills. I think it was 50 million or something. 60 million. About 50 million. And it was also supposed to be jointly funded with the university. So I think Supervisor also mentioned the fact that maybe I can do without the philanthropy. I mean, I have to US for his graduate study. I was saying that I think maybe on one hand the Africans, or let's say Nigeria, we are not as rich as the Americans, but again, I think maybe it's even good for people in philosophy to study. You know, the typical black man, when you say when you die you want to go to heaven, which is good, but the American, when they die, they think they want to leave a legacy behind. So going to heaven is not their primary motivation, but there is like so. I mean, the spirit of giving may not be there. And I also agree with the point that maybe when students are here, they had a very bad experience, and so when they are now in a position 5 years, 10 years, or even 30 years down the line, they don't feel encouraged to come and put something back. But on the other hand, when you look at maybe a typical class, let's say graduating class of maybe, let's just assume for the sake of the argument that there were 100 students, we had the 100 students in the class. Those who are successful, we always claim that they had a very good experience, but the other maybe 10 or 20 who didn't do well. I mean, all of us, I mean, because I just look at the University of Ibadan, most of us on the staff are graduates of the Nigeria university system. It's either you have been to Ibadan, if learning, Unilag, I mean, if not UI, of course, with the preponderance were actually likely to be UI graduates, quite naturally, since this was the oldest university, except a program like a pharmacy, because pharmacy in US started much later. So, and you can hardly see anybody who will say, where I finished my first degree from is not good, ordinarily, because you're also denigrating yourself. If anything, you are questioning the quality of your own degree. Like on Monday, in my department, from Department of Geology, there is a conference room that one of our old students has donated to the department. He turned 70 earlier last month. So a few months ago, he decided to ask some of his friends to assist him to put something back. He also started here, he finished his PhD in 1973. He got his BSc 68, then the PhD in 73. And he started here as a young lecturer, and later they attracted him to Ife, where he spent almost his entire career. But he wanted to give something back to the system. And so we have such large-hearted people. I mean, he's a professor, he's a professor, maybe some contract at Ife. Not so much because it's rich, but he felt he should give something back to the system. But on the other hand, if a student has had a very bad experience, then he may not be willing. And it's even worse now that maybe that we have so much graduate unemployment. So it's even in our own enlightened self-interest to make sure that the majority of our students are able to find jobs, so that they can be in a position to, as a graduate of 10 years post-qualification who is unemployed, you can also ask that person to give something back. Himself is still living off his or her parents. But there are challenges, like you will have noticed. Now you can even see there is a power outage. Anytime I travel abroad and I have opportunity to talk, I always tell them that it's very boring to have electricity 24/7. Like when I saw this one in South Africa last beginning of was it end of April, I was together in Cape Town. Early May. Where I was just there for 2-3 days. And this kind of program where you have the Africans in diaspora coming, I think it's really very good. On one hand, you are already familiar with the system, so it's not the same thing as if you have brought someone who has never been to this part of the world. It's starting with the weather. Of course, most of you are, or if all of you agree that you are here, you have been away for a very long time, 20 years, 30 years, or even longer. So the challenges are that you won't be complaining that much. After all, you knew what before you emigrate. But again, even for us, it's also good. I mean, just like you said, maybe the Department of Food can think of a short course. I mean, maybe by the time they have some of these little, and if there are also opportunities for some of our faculty members to be able to go abroad for 3 months, 6 months, I mean, it's win-win for us. I mean, they are exposed and they won't be harassing the VC that to give them a travel grant. And this is sponsored. And it's also good because it's also not the best if we have. I mean, like when I was in Germany for Humboldt Fellowship, at the stage I was tired of attending conferences. All of them were sponsored. All I needed to do was just to inform my host, and we just send it. I was in Berlin. Just send it note to them in Bonn, where the headquarters of Humboldt Foundation is. And even at times my host will also say, don't bother the Humboldt Foundation. You can access for my own grant. So it was really very good. But you have lecturers here, staff who 2 years, 3 years, they are not able to attend even local conferences. Even though in spite of that, quite a large number still make efforts. So if we have an initiative like this, and most of the time, like if any faculty member in the food tech want to come to your lab in the US for whatever, even some other opportunities, whether it's in terms of applying for grants, you know you'll be applying for grants, they say, okay, you meet the collaborator in the South. You can only quickly mention the people that you have their email contacts and all that. So yeah, I think for us as an institution, that this is the least we can do. And you are here for, even if it's for 1 month, it can make a whole lot of difference. Give a seminar. In fact, there's a colleague of mine, I think, in fact, we would have given a seminar yesterday in technology or renewable energy.
Yes.
I go lower. We were classmates in secondary school, then he finished here in the mechanical engineering, I think. Mechanical engineering at 81. So he's in Texas. So he told me that he was coming home. So we give you a seminar. Something like that can even show people, I mean, some opportunities, whether it's researchable areas. And he comes here regularly. I think his parents, his father has a house in Ibadan. So these are ways, because you cannot be here for 10 years, you cannot do, and if you have a member of the staff who has never traveled for the past 10 years, he probably won't travel throughout the rest of his career. I mean, after about a decade, he will just be stayed. So, I mean, and yeah, we think we have resources. I mean, I'm talking of human resources now, but the capacity building is also important. I've only mentioned the issue of attending conferences, but even the laboratory facilities or library facilities, e-facilities, may not be adequate. Most people now still make individual efforts. I mean, they subscribe to maybe Smile. But people, I mean, you cannot also be complaining every time. I mean, things that have been taken for granted, there's maybe your department or faculty or academic unit will provide, but here people go out of their way to provide it. So if we have this kind of initiative, I think it will go a long way towards strengthening what we do. And in terms of facilities, capacity building for the young academics, even for the experienced ones. So we thank you for agreeing to even come here. I mean, knowing full well that we have 1,001 challenges in this part of the world. But we are not, I mean, we're not complaining. We think things can only get better in spite of our. And you can also advise us on anything that may not be really core academic, even the way things life is. I mean, like that evening then when we met at the hotel in Cape Town. I mean, the vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town told me that I should not worry, that he will drive me home. So he drives himself. Yes, the vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town, he drives himself. In fact, I had to go and look at the brand of the car. It's a Volvo. So I mean, he doesn't have an official driver. I mean, because it will be different. Because they will pay him so well, so that if you're going to travel from Cape Town or where you can go by train or by air. But here, even the most junior officer wants the car, the tire at the back, and he's looking at the owner's spot. You know, so I mean, the environment is slightly different. So these are some of the issues. And like here, our undergraduates don't pay fees. I think in the US they pay fees. But again, if you hike the fees so much, many children may not be able to afford it. But the truth is, some can afford, but we are not asking them to pay, and they cannot just be donating the difference. I mean, most of the, in fact, I think there is Dr. Ladokun in your faculty, industrial and production engineering. He's in the Birmingham City University right now. I mean, we have the same WhatsApp group. He was saying that most of the students in Faculty of Technology, that he knows that they attended private secondary schools. I mean, it's not as if, I mean, all of them sit for the jam, but maybe because we are, the public secondary schools have also been completely relegated to the background. So most of the students in Faculty of Technology, they actually went to fee paying secondary schools. But when it comes here to university, it's free, technically. They don't pay fees. So I mean, because like yesterday we had the press conference here. I mean, when I was asked to make some introductory remarks, I said what we have here, is basically the crisis of allocation of scarce resources or inadequate resources. Students, they are complaining that there is no electricity. Okay, like right now, if somebody is coming here, you can see at least there is a point. This maybe the inverter, but it's also money, if only for the initial investment. The public electricity is not there. So, like any part of Nigeria that you live, that is what I think. You can have electricity 24/7, even the remotest village. You have two big generators. One works for 6 hours, then you change to the other one. You are ready to buy diesel for any price. You have inverter. Inverter can work in the remotest village. And solar panels. But someone has to pick up the bill. That is what I believe. There is no, but someone has to pick the bill. And if you are not spending half of your salary to generate electricity, then you ask yourself whether you can afford it. Because students will say there is no electricity in the hostel. Now they have been home for 36 days. I wouldn't know that they have electricity 24/7. And when we were in Abuja about a month ago, in the office of the Minister of Education, there was no power supply. It was a Thursday. They told us that the previous Friday that they've had a power outage. Maybe the generator also got spoiled. So I wouldn't know how soon they fix it, but at least it was a Thursday, and they said since the previous, 6 days earlier, the previous Friday, that they've not had power supply. And that same building, you know the Ministry of Education now, it also houses the Ministry of Police Affairs. And so, I mean, you can imagine more that, that the Minister of Education. So, as lecturers of staff here, they have been paying us what we receive from Abuja is just 92% of our salary. So, it's still the same issue of allocation of scarce resources. When you cannot even pay your staff, then you're just as if it was to be a private company, you just be on receivership. So, it's if 2 years ago oil was selling for $140, now someone told me that it's almost $50 now, but it went as low as $30. And so that is for an economy that depends solely on the oil for its foreign exchange. So it was something else to give you, but staff cannot understand that. You can also see where they are coming from. But what do you do? So what do you do? And the government says, okay, don't continue running staff schools. Then the staff will say, okay, continue running them. How can you now disobey government directive? So, but we thank you for, because everything is interrelated, one way or the other. It's not so much as if we lack ideas as to what to do. So the staff will not be sympathetic to you. They say, just go and look for the money. So how do you look for the money? And even we say, okay, internal engineering. In fact, the gentleman was here a short while ago. I asked him to give us a list of the projects that the university had supported over the years from internally generated revenue, like the business office. No, it used to be 2 floors, ground floor and the first floor. Then we added 2 more floors. That project was funded from IGR. So it's not as if the internally generated revenue is pocketed by the Vice Chancellor. The Agric and Aquaculture and Fisheries. It was from IGR. Among other projects, the one we came to commission your faculty, the teaching and research firm, is IGR. So the idea is that, IGR. But of course, even all the IGR is not enough. And there's a limit to which you cannot also be living from hand to mouth. You also have to think of the next generation. Aquaculture and fisheries. They have a new complex just by over there. And it was funded by IGR. A few years ago when the university was still relatively more buoyant. So we welcome you, and for those of you that have been here for a few weeks, at least overall you think you have enjoyed your stay. And for Professor Boaz, you just coming, we wish you a good stay, and we hope you will still come back here as soon as possible. And if there are ways in which you can continue to collaborate with our colleagues. I'm sure all of them you knew them before, or most of them. Maybe there are now a few new faces. You are not the youngest lecturer in your department, I'm sure.
I am.
But you knew her before. Oh, you did masters together. Okay, it even makes it easier. I mean, you look much younger than him. What happened? She looks much younger than
I'm older than her.
Oh, okay. You are classmates. You are older. Okay. So you are welcome to our institution, and feel free, I mean, for those who still have a few more weeks to spend, if there are issues that we need to clarify. Did your friend agree at this?
Yes, I
Okay, well, he came from a doctor.
He came from a
But it's good that he still keep the contract almost 20 years after. Have you been? Maybe I can present you. So just a token. So it's just like a marriage. In marriage, they give you the certificate before you do the work.
Oh, by the way, you know, my father was a teacher, said you are now.
Where is it now?
I see the US now.
Ah, okay.
And that's a bit.
Ah, okay. Wow. Yeah, thank you.
It's great.
Like I'll give you my yeah, many times. So where are you living?
2 weeks from now.
Another 2 weeks. Okay. So you are in agric economics.
Economics.
Department of Economics.
But I'm visiting economics.
Okay, but you are actually attached to Department of Economics.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Oh, you are agric economics, yeah.
No, I'm economics in the US.
Okay.
I'm visiting
Agric economics. Ah, okay.
Yes.
So you are welcome.
Thank you,
so
sir.
Thank you.